I reject low quality women. I mean, sometimes I will opt to leave them for exercise only, but I reject low quality women. The reason being is that I can leave space for the good ones to come. And yes, most women in general, but Canada specifically, are not worth it. The juice is not worth the squeeze, but I don't want that to be construed. There are good women out there, and I have found quite a few good women in the last year and a bit. And don't get me wrong, they are very few and far between, but they do exist. And when you reject low quality women and leave space for the quality ones to come in, I'm telling you, women in general will respect you a lot more for it, and they can smell it. I must have had a streak of probably 5 or 6 dates. This would have been, I think, summer of last year. Would have been summer? Yeah, summer, fall, whatever. Anyway, and roughly in that timeline. And every single time on these first dates, coffee dates, whatever, the woman to some degree would bring up, so how many women are you seeing? I'd be like, excuse me? Well, how many are you seeing? And I'd be like, what, you didn't see my 13 girlfriends waiting outside when you walked in? And they would just get the biggest smile ever. But it's like they can smell the confidence and they almost can smell the retention, I suppose. And not being in like a big chauvinistic way, just kind of, poke buttons, kind of, bug them a little bit, tease them, which is a good thing. And I think Dr. Orion Taraban, again, he is the man. He has a lot of really good points that he makes in his video, and his book, The Value of Others, is fantastic. But he says women want what other women want. So if other women are interested, other women will also be interested. It's like the compounding effect of money. Somebody left a comment the other day, what is the point of getting jacked and having a 3-inch horn? It compounds. That's the thing. You can have a 3-inch horn. It is not the size of the waves, my friend. It is the motion in the ocean. You better make that angry inch the best angry 3 inches that she has ever had in her life and work the waves. And then if you're in great shape as well, that helps as well, right? Anybody ever seen the movie Semi-Pro? Will Ferrell was on like a crazy streak of fantastic movies in the 2000s. But Semi-Pro, was it Dick Pepperfield? And I can't remember the guy that Will Arnett plays, but he says, I actually heard some women like a small penis. Who said that? Let me introduce you to Mrs. Pepperfield later tonight. That's a great movie. There's so many great Will Ferrell movies of the 2000s. But anyway, to kind of bring it back to rejecting low-quality women, I came up with a little bit of a list. This is my list that I find personally is complete red flags in women, and hopefully this helps you as well. A lot of it is inspired by Rich Cooper and his 21 red flags, and Rich Cooper is the man. I've seen people commenting, hey, your videos sound a lot like Rich, because Rich is the man. I'm in some of his communities. Rich is fantastic. Highly recommend if you haven't read Rich's book or seen some of his stuff on YouTube. But my red flags in women. Any women 26 or above, and I'll explain all these in a second. Women with tattoos, and if a woman is covered in tattoos to the degree where she is looking like the 10th Street underpass in downtown Calgary, no, sir. Waiter check, please. Single moms, I don't even need to say it. I don't want somebody else's used kids. Hardcore liberals, liberal belief systems, feminists. I've heard some people argue that all women are feminists. It's to what degree, and that is true. I have converted women from being, I would say, borderline liberal feminist women to bringing them back over to the good side. And I don't mind doing a factory reset on a woman, because if she likes you enough, you can do a factory reset very easily and bring her over back to the common sense side of things. If she likes you enough, if she doesn't like you, she ain't gonna listen. But it's nicer when they come factory restored. Does that make sense? And coming back to the women 26 and above, doing a factory reset to get a woman back to the common sense side of kids, family, etc., traditional values at 28 is a whole lot more work than her just coming pre-installed at 21 with those belief systems, which is why I say 26 and above is a no-go zone for serious contention or serious relationships. Career-focused women, if a woman is career-focused, she will never want to be the mother to the children, and I'll tell you why. In this world of masculine, high testosterone women and low-T, soy-loving, tofu-consuming men, women are career women, and they are driven, and they drive in the relationship. And if a woman is career-focused, she's going to be in the driver's seat and unable to tend to the kids. I heard a woman one time say, she was talking to her mom, and she was calling her mom. Her mom was like, listen, Canada's a shithole. I'm planning my exit. And she's like, that is so selfish. Who's going to help me raise my kids? You. You're going to raise your kids? She raised your dumbass. Now you got to raise your kids, right? If a woman, but this was also a very career-focused woman. And if a woman is career-focused, she will never be able to fully attend to the children the way that she probably wants to and is supposed to. And these career women are usually in their late 20s, early 30s, and they've wasted their entire 20s on dumb stuff, which we can get to in a moment. And so that's just not really in my wheelhouse. Women that make bad choices, and that includes endless partying, drinking, nothing but a pile of debt to show for, collecting cats or corgis, and no shade to the corgis. I do love corgis, and I will have a pack of corgis, probably 4 to 6, with tails in a big backyard at one point in time. But it's interesting with the dogs thing, because I have noticed that women that have like medium to small dogs, they have like a strong burning desire for children. And it doesn't matter whose children, it's just somebody's children. And they haven't, for whatever reason, either they've blown up relationships and haven't had the chance to have kids, or whatever bad choices they've made. And they will get the medium to small sized dogs as a replacement for the kids, I've noticed. But then women that have like big dogs, like the Dobermans or like the fighting style dogs, they're extremely masculine, and they've usually had a really, really bad experience with, I guess what you can almost describe as like a Chad type of deal. And that dog is almost like a substitute. I've noticed a very strong correlation. Medium, small, they want kids. Big dogs, they've just been traumatized by somebody to some degree, which is really interesting too. A huge other red flag as well is that she wants to stay in Canada full-time forever. With the way the world is changing, and we can say this for a different debate, but you can't look me in the eyes and honestly tell me, Trav, I think the taxes in Canada are going to get lower in the next 10 years. I think the government is going to become less authoritarian. I think freedom and more free enterprise is going to come. No. Oh, you think the family law is going to be more pro-father? You're off your rocker. It's not. And so if a woman wants to stay in Canada her whole life and is committed to going down with the ship, that's fine. I'm getting on a life raft. I'm making my plan and my exit, and you better be on board with that, or I'm not taking you seriously, type of deal. And all this too, none of this is any of this like big scary shakedown all about you better do this, or none of that. If you want me to take you seriously, and I would like to, and I can't take you seriously and care for you if you're doing this type of stuff, then I'm just gonna have to let you go. And I just won't take you very seriously. I'll entertain other women more seriously, and usually that is the part that gets them to behave and act in line. I'm gonna take other women more seriously than you, and this can just be a recreational use only type of deal. And you bet your ass they stopped doing what they were doing. There was this one gal, and I've told the story before. She's probably one of the biggest attention seekers that I dated probably my entire life. Just Instagram stories, palooza, jugs, titties, back end, everything hanging out on Instagram. Like bi-weekly selfies, boomerangs, you name it. I remember even one time she FaceTimes me. She's like, I bought some new outfits for my new job. I'm like, new job? You've had like 3 new jobs the past 2 months. Well, what do you think of these outfits? And they're like button-down shirts. And I said, are you going to be showing cleavage at your new job? No. Next day, there's an Instagram story. Boom, jugs right over the keyboard. And so I ended up basically telling her one day, I said, you know what? If you want me to take you seriously, you need to stop doing that. And if you're not going to do that, I'm just not going to take you seriously. And this was also prompted by her asking, basically, like, where are things headed? Where are things going? Right? I've been seeing you for about a month or so, and you better not be sleeping with other women. And I said, well, listen, if you want me to take you seriously, this has to stop. That's a great point to get her back in line and get her back on the programming, because why would you ever take a woman seriously that is constantly looking for attention on social media? I remember this one model, and again, I don't want to come across like I'm some Chet. I date average women. I date 5s and 6s. 7+, I just can't get the behavior that I want. It's just a nightmare. The juice ain't worth the squeeze, so I've just kind of let that be. And there's nothing wrong with dating average women. Average women, I've had a fantastic experience with. But this one gal, she was a model, and she was telling me, she's like, you can never date a model. And I said, you were a model for the last like 5-6 years. She's like, I know, we just love attention. You'll never be able to fill that cup of attention. I'm like, what the hell? Why are you telling me this? Right? This is insane. And to a degree, I would argue she told me that because she liked me enough to confess the truth. I also noticed, and this is the really ugly side of female nature that I have seen firsthand, especially over the last year. Women saying, you know what? I shouldn't be admitting this. I like you a lot more than the other men that I'm dating. I said, excuse me? Oh, I like you more than the other men that I've been seeing. Who have you been seeing? Well, I've been seeing this accountant here, and I've been seeing this lawyer or this plumber or whatever. And I was like, well, what's wrong with them? Well, this guy takes me on dates, and we, do stuff every now and then, but it's just not there. He's kind of meh. This guy, we have, like, there's been no physical activity happening whatsoever, and he just kind of takes care of me, etc. And I'm like, what? So you have a roster? Oh yeah, of course. Every girl has a roster. And I'm like, wait, every girl has a roster? I kind of thought this stuff before, but now I'm getting confirmed to me in person. Or like I'm seeing Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and like, holy, Augustus Gloop is in the river in the fountain of chocolate. She's like, yeah, every single woman has a guy that they, physical activity. You have different needs, different tools for different men. And at first I thought, this woman is completely broken. And then this copy and paste, same conversation probably happened with 3 or 4 different women throughout the rest of the year. I even had one telling me this exact same thing. And I said, what do you think the other men that you're seeing will say? And she said, not a word of a lie. Do you see this? Yes. There is no ring on these fingers. And until there's a ring on my hand, it's open season. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? She said, how do you feel about that? And I said, well, I'm conflicted. I don't mind the idea of, marking my territory in somebody else's territory, but I also don't like the idea of sharing it. It's kind of gross. Interesting sides of female nature, but point being is that I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I am surrendering to the way that things are. This is just the way the game is played. I'm going to have to compete with the current rules and the current system, the way that it is, not the way that I want it to be, and it is what it is. There's this huge movement of men, these, I guess, MGTOWs, men going their own way. And they're in the comment section of almost every single video that I post of, oh, women aren't worth anymore, women that, women this, I've been single since whatever. It's like, as a member of the human species, which are just a part of the mammal species, men and women are like peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter and chocolate. We are God's greatest creation. We are better together than we are apart. And to just like check out and surrender and say, oh, well, nothing I can do about it. Well, game's over here. I'm going to go home and take my ball with me. It's like, what? What is the point of life then? Right? The point of life is to reproduce, to have family, to share memories with that family, to make your kids the better version of you, the improved, new and improved version of you. And to just completely check out and surrender to that is absolutely insane, I think personally. So surrendering to the way, this is the way the game is. There's nothing that you can do about it. Oh, well. And I'm going to formulate a plan to work around these new rules. It's not ideal. I wish it wasn't this way, but it's nothing that you can do.